Hi there, Crafty Pals. Louise here. Welcome to my take on the Counterfeit Kit Mini challenge for March. Now, over on their blog, there's a little bit of inspiration, and you basically put together a kit from your stash items and go ahead and create using those kit elements. So I've pulled out lots of rainbow pieces, a pile of embellishments, some enamel hearts. I've also grabbed a bunch of photos that have kind of been printed and sitting in stash but have really just not inspired me to create, and it's with that in mind that I'm going to try and get those scrapped. They're kind of those just really just everyday memories. Like, so this one, it's quite a funny photo actually. I'll explain it to you so you can have a bit of a laugh. Hubby runs his own business, and his idea of filing his paperwork is to just put everything into a really big box, and he had bought a battery for his ute and needed to find the receipt for the battery in order to make a warranty claim. And so the boys were tasked with the job of sorting the receipts into different piles, and so they I'm sure it was a school holiday activity or like a break or something that they were on, and they sat down and managed to to sort through the pile, find the receipt that he needed, and make a really big mess until they could stack everything up again. Now, apologies for the little visitor. He does like to walk straight across the craft desk. At least today he didn't actually flop down where I was trying to work. He continued along his merry way. But what you see here is I'm using a Vicky Bouton pre-made background. Now, I love these pre-made backgrounds. They give you the feel of mixed media without you having to get messy yourself. So for me, I love a mixed media background, but I don't necessarily love having the mess that it makes and having to do the cleanup and it gets all over your hands. And anyway, that's just me personally. So if I can use a pre-made mixed media background, I absolutely will. This is an older Vicky Bouton one, so it's considered stash because it's been around for quite some time, but I love the colors. I love that it's so bright, and you can see that I've told the story of this particular photo just with that line of words. And really keeping it quite simple with some embellishments. And as this is the first creation for my counterfeit kit, I'm kind of just getting a feel for it. So obviously I know I need to use these stash items, so I'm kind of just feeling my way through that packet of title pieces. Again, I've used the odd one here and there, but by pulling it out and turning it into this counterfeit kit, I really feel like it's going to get quite a bit more use. So this was fun. I enjoyed this, and I sat down. I think it was a weekend, so I created the kit. I'd caught up with all of my other responsibilities and YouTube planning. So I sat down and I've wanted to do this for a while, actually, since Kitaholic Kit's since Kitaholic Kit stopped having kit subscriptions. I've sort of wanted to get back into kitting, and I've got plenty of stash. I've got plenty of things that I can make, so it's just a matter of sitting down and pulling items. And I loved the inspiration, and that's my first share in relation to the kit. All right, so I'm going to get straight into, this is a longer video, so let's move on to the next layout. And to keep it interesting when I'm creating, I like to try and mix it up a little bit for you when you're watching my videos. So trying to keep a mixture of 9x12s and 12x12s in there as well. Just because I know some people don't scrap in 9x12, and for me, I love it. Particularly like these I have lots of photos of the cats, probably more than the children at the moment. But essentially, if I'm scrapping these cat pictures, I like to do them 9x12 because they have a 9x12 album. So it really just keeps it simple for me when I'm creating, because I can use smaller photos, still have the same amount of embellishments and space to work with. So the first one you saw was 12x12. have in the photos that I've pulled, I haven't actually pulled any double photos, which was a bit disappointing. I need to print more multi photos so that I've got them sitting there ready to create with, because I tend to be a single photo scrapper and not do as many doubles anymore. So yeah, I'm going to try and make my 12 by 12s have more multi photos, and yeah, try and keep my 9 by 12s to single photos. Now I'm trying really hard to use this Vicky Bouton sort of sunburst background paper. Again, it's an older paper, so stash for the win. It was a beautiful paper at the time. I saw lots of the design team give inspiration and different ways to use it, but I kind of struggled a little bit personally. So, and you can see I'm still struggling. I really don't know what to do with it, but there is a layout coming later in this video, and you'll see how that paper actually comes together and gets used. So yeah, it's sitting there because I'm trying to make it happen, but I'm going to have to put it aside and just go with my black background here. I'm not sure with Counterfeit Kit if the rules are that you can pull from your stash, but I didn't have a pattern paper that was going to suit this cluster that I'd already put together, so I did go to stash and pulled out this again, and it is stash, so it is you know, it's not new. It's from the depths of the bowels of my pattern paper supply. But yeah, it's suited more to what I was building in terms of the clustering and the photos. So I'm going to tear that so I can have that little bit of pattern paper down the middle to give my photo and my clustering somewhere to sit. Now, of course, for my visual triangle, I'm always making sure that I have those 3 points. So of course they are imaginary, you don't have to make them a perfect triangle, but for me, to make my layouts aesthetically pleasing, I always like to make sure that I have those 3 points somewhere. So the left and right essentially are the 2 points of this particular cluster, and then the third point is going to be whatever I embellish, and it's down in that bottom right hand corner where I'm going to add just a little mini cluster. So yeah, nice and simple this one. You know, nothing mixed media in the background, just using the elements of my counterfeit kit to actually put something together depending on what I can find and how I feel and the photo subject. So yeah, this yeah, it was really fun. I certainly would generally have not sat down and just created 4 layouts all in a row. And yeah, having the kit and yeah, getting that inspiration was, I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I hope I'll get to play along again at some point. And I hope that you enjoy seeing what I created with my kit and bringing it together into layouts in a slightly longer video. This is probably one of the longest videos I've ever done. It's quite a lot of voiceover, so I'm going to do this in 2 parts. But yeah, it's fun, and I hope that you're enjoying it and you're getting something useful and able to, you know, everything I do on this YouTube channel is really just about inspiring other crafters. It's something that's super passionate for me. You know, when I first came back into crafting after having my babies, YouTube was just an amazing place full of crafty inspiration, and so yeah, I thoroughly enjoy putting my layouts together. There's so much work in videos, and I'm, you know, grateful to the community who comes along and supports my videos. So yeah, it's all about the inspiration, and hopefully even if it's just, you know, the sketches that I share, because I think sketches are an amazing inspiration. So yeah, if you find something on my channel that makes me happy, and if you've left a comment to let me know that you've enjoyed something, then I absolutely enjoy that as well. Alright, so this little cluster down the bottom is coming together beautifully, and I'm finding that by having little elements set aside to use, it's sort of inspiring my creativity. You know, I probably wouldn't have made a cluster like this with a floral and the butterfly and then that little piece at the bottom with the circle. So it absolutely is just really flowing, and I love the way it sort of comes together and looks, and the different little pieces in the kit the Counterfeit Kit collection. So almost finished with this one, so that'll be 2 layouts down, and I will go ahead and take you into the 3rd layout and we'll have some fun there. But yeah, this is great. Stash busting, loving it, really enjoying the creations that I've made. So let's go ahead and have a look at the finished product for this particular layout, and then we'll be back with layout number 3. Alright, so we've made it through 2 layouts. Thanks for sticking around if you're still here. I'm going to again pull a piece of patterned paper, so another Vicky Bouton. I tend to be quite drawn to Vicky Bouton patterned papers. I love the way she uses bright colours, and not gonna lie, I'm probably going to buy everything in her latest collection. I love when she uses that rainbow, so I'm gonna try my best to not add everything to my cart, but let's face it, who doesn't love that happy mail feeling when new supplies turn up? It is one of my favorite parts of a day. You know, it can really brighten you up, and sometimes I will just online shop and then maybe I don't check out with my cart for the sake of, you know, the endorphins and the dopamine hit that I get from pretending that I'm shopping when I'm actually not. So if you've ever done that and you're just like me, absolutely leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you. It's really, you know, it's fun to add to cart and to shop and to get that happy mail, but I don't necessarily always spend the money. It's very tempting to, but that's a story for another day. All right, so having a look, I'm really just grabbing from what I collected here. So this was, again, one of those photos that was kind of a bit of a nothing photo. And I say that not in a derogatory way. Obviously, it's a moment from hubby's life. It's his first ever eye test. He had been complaining for quite some time that he could not see the screen of his phone or his laptop when he was working and sending out invoices and things. And I had been saying to him, okay, go get an eye test, go get an eye test. You know, they're free, they're Medicare bulk billed, and finally he did it. So I had to go along as his emotional support animal, and yeah, of course I took that opportunity to snap a photo while I was there of his very first eye test. He's probably not going to be very impressed that I'm scrapbooking it and sharing it with everybody out in the world, but here it is. All right, so teaming it up with this bright background and making a cluster first. So as I've explained in previous videos, I always make those clusters first so that I only know how much mixed media I need to add into the background. And in this case, because I'm going to be stitching those little elements and I'm going to be using a chain stitch, I don't want to have to stitch any more than I absolutely have to. There is nothing that frustrates me more than when I'm creating a layout and I've made this beautiful background, or I've done a whole bunch of stitching, and then you go ahead and you cover it up with elements within the layout itself. So that for me is just a serious waste of time and to supplies, and just makes me frustrated in the whole purpose. So I like to know where I'm going to place things before I go ahead and add any work into my background. Now I'm not going to show you the whole stitching process here. I'm just going to show you a line, and then I'm going to complete all of that off camera. I really just wanted to show you how I did my particular chain stitch. Now I use just ordinary old embroidery thread that you buy at discount stores or at Spotlight, and I just buy it in the bags of multicolors. There's some really fancy ones out there that you can buy with like really bright colors and like gold and glitter and sparkles and stuff. I find them really hard to thread through a needle, and then the one time I did stitch with a fancy sort of like gold thread, every time I pulled it through a hole in the paper, it'd get stuck, and the whole process just frustrated me like you wouldn't believe. So I am just using ordinary thread most of the time these days. If I'm just popping a little bit of thread behind something, I'll use the sparkly fancy stuff, but yeah, for stitching I go with just ordinary thread. All right, so while I've been talking about all things stitching, I have gone ahead and added some black splatter. Obviously this Vicky Bouton background, it lent itself beautifully to that black splatter, and then I just needed to shadow slightly behind my clustering and my layers there, just to help lift them off that bright background. So tiny little bit of black ink just rubbed into the background, and this did discolor my stitching, so my stitching's a little bit blackened in there as well, but I don't necessarily hate the way that looks, and I think in general the whole layout turned out quite well. So I'm happy to call it done and move on to the next as I'm trying to bust through this smaller kit. Now, back to this very challenging paper that I think is fantastic. I love the sunburst, but man, did I really struggle to use it. And so, as you can see, I decide to reverse mount my photo. So rather than cut my photo into a circle and place it into the center of that sunburst background paper, I've cut the circle out of the paper, trimmed a little bit of it, and I'm going to pop my photo in behind and then mount that onto that patterned paper in the background as well. Now this, in hindsight, this patterned paper, the chevrons, is it's quite an intense paper. You know, it's really not this muted kind of Vicky Bouton color that is going on in this starburst, but because I'm mixing it with the bright embellishments, these little pieces, I think it's going to work in quite well. And while I was sitting down creating this, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It wasn't like I'm now looking back at it doing a voiceover going, I don't know why I ever put those two papers together. That was a little bit strange. But you can get the effect because I'm eventually going to build some color. And this kind of just happened. You know, I happened to pardon me, be looking at the elements that I had left in the kit and how I could possibly use them and spread them around, and the stickers, and yeah, the starburst just lent itself really well to putting my embellishments on those angles. The only one that I do have a bit of trouble with is that 24/7 and that little piece over to that right hand side. For some reason it just looked a little bit odd on the angle, and so I'm going to go back and just straighten that up for that main title sort of area. And just by using a little bit of foam mounting tape as well, that just gives me that bit of separation from those more angular stickers and elements. Now, this again is not necessarily a hard photo to scrap, but it's one of those everyday life moments, and the 24/7 works beautifully because these are literally my couch potato kids, and they are just hanging around, sitting on the couch, chilling out. They're both similar in how they're dressed. I don't know where we were going, why we're all wearing red shirts, but that's just how it happened. And yeah, I think that this particular way to use the products is, again, something I wouldn't have initially thought of in my head. So I wouldn't have sat down with the idea to utilize those angles and move my sort of ephemera or die cuts in those diagonal lines. But because the pieces that I had available that I'd pulled for this particular kit inspired me, it just turned out that way. And I just love that this counterfeit kit is, inspired me to use and get some photos scrapped that I have been sitting on for some time. But also, yeah, just the way I've created these different layouts. So it's been a really enjoyable process. I'm so glad I got them done. I sat down over a weekend and managed to get the 3 12x12s and the 1 9x12 layout done. And I just had so much fun. So I'm glad I filmed it and got to share it with you. So hopefully you've seen something in these videos that you have enjoyed as well. As always, your comments are always welcome. I love to read them. If you're new to my channel, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm all about sharing the love and the creativity. So make sure you check out Counterfeit Kit. They're on Facebook. I'm not sure if there is a YouTube hot, but I will have a look and link up to that if there is one as well. All right, I am very close to being finished with this layout, and while I didn't use everything that I pulled for the kit, I'm really happy with what I created and I had so much fun. So I'm going to leave you there and say thank you so much for watching, and as always, happy scrapping.